Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. There's never been as many businesses as there are today. It's relatively easy to start one. If you have an idea, an ABN and a bank account, you're almost on your way. Problem is, many start a business completely unaware of their legal obligations. Lawyer Tracey Mylecharane identifies 3 big legal issues that every owner of a business must know: risk mitigation, legal documents, and systems and processes. And Tracey reckons businesses are even less aware of their legal responsibilities than ever before. She explains why to Chris Ashmore.
I feel like we're in a crisis of knowledge almost, in that there are more and more business owners entering the entrepreneurial domain, which is fabulous. But it seems like there is an increasing level of unawareness about the risks and all the things that need to be done, which makes advisors like me quite nervous.
So what are some of the biggest legal issues that you're seeing affecting businesses right now?
The business owners don't realise they have legal obligations to consumers and clients. What I'm seeing a lot of is business owners wanting to launch a business on a shoestring, not prioritising accounting advice, tax advice, structure advice, legal advice, diving in boots and all. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for boots and all diving in and having some passion and drive and determination, but in an informed way. And I'm seeing that there's a real lack around business owners taking steps to be informed around what it is they need to be doing, what do they need to be providing to consumers and customers, what is their risk, where are they exposed, where are they vulnerable.
Well, if we look at that in a bit more detail, what kind of risk are we looking at?
I'm seeing business owners not turn their mind to business structure and what's right for them. For high-risk businesses, for example, we're talking, let's say, personal services such as beauty. We've got business owners just launching up their beautician business, for example, with no awareness about the options that they have to protect themselves legally from a structure position. High risk means you need to think about protection, and business structure is one way to do that. And there just doesn't seem to be an awareness around what they can be doing to protect themselves. That's a high risk area. And then people aren't thinking about their legal documents in the context of being a risk mitigation strategy. I don't have legal documents is something I hear a lot. My friend told me not to worry about it. It'll be right. It won't happen to me. And then guess what? Somebody's come back to ask for refunds because they said that I didn't deliver what I promised in my business, but I don't have any legal documents in place, so it's a little unclear what I promised. And then we go down that path of trying to piece together the puzzle, but it's very much after the horse has bolted. I'm seeing a lot of that at the moment, Chris.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned business structure. I suppose a lot of businesses, they decide upon a particular business structure and it's sort of set and forget. They don't think about it again. But things change in business and their structure needs to reflect that change. Is that right?
Absolutely. There's not much that's set and forget in business. It's very fluid. And things do change in business. Offerings change, services change, products change, revenue changes, tax implications change. Your team changes, whether you're growing a team or whether you've got employees and you move to a contractor. There are tax implications to all of those things. There's liability attached to all of those different stages of growth. And that business structure, it needs to be revisited regularly to make sure that the business structure you've chosen or the business structure you're operating under still suits you, still suits what's happening in your business.
Mazars is an international audit, tax and advisory firm committed to helping clients confidently build and grow their businesses. To find out how Mazars can support your business, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.
Another area that businesses need to think about is insurance. What insurances should businesses have?
I hear a lot people say, I work virtually, I work remotely, I operate from my home, therefore I don't have insurance because people don't come to see me. And that's flawed it's actually incorrect. Let's be honest, it's flat out wrong. The first two insurances that any small business owner needs to turn their mind to now, whether they work from home or not, is a public liability insurance and professional indemnity insurance, depending on the nature of the business, of course. But for your standard service-based business, it's your public liability and professional indemnity.
And how should business owners go about getting insurance?
Well, contrary to what seems to be common belief, again, this crisis of knowledge, not going online to DIY your insurance. That's not how you do it. You touch base with a broker who's able to understand your business, how you operate and what your needs are, and ensure that you have a policy tailored to cover and protect you based on what you're doing in your business. Based on my discussions, lots of people think that they can go online and grab a quick public liability policy, pay it there and they're done and dusted. But the truth is they're not aware of the exclusions. They're often unaware of the inclusions, which means they're not actually going to know whether that insurance policy has them protected, and they're probably not going to know until they need to try and rely on it. It's too late by then.
Well, you mentioned earlier as well legal documents. They're important, but what documents are needed?
Depending on what the business does, different documents are required. The three most important documents for a service-based business that has a website are their business terms and conditions, so their client service agreement. There's a lot of liability protection in there. It's really important, and the business owner will be meeting its obligations under the consumer law via that document. Then we need the website terms and conditions, which are quite separate to the business terms and conditions, and a privacy policy. Of course, if we're talking product-based businesses or e-commerce businesses, then there's more that needs to be developed in those website documents and those purchase terms and conditions, but that's the starting point. And the reason they're so important is because they meet legal obligations and they offer that legal protection that you wouldn't otherwise have but for those documents.
Another issue concerns systems and processes. What should business owners think about there?
Well, having your legal documents drafted for you and tailored for your business is one thing. Knowing how to use them and using them properly is another. And that's where the systems and processes come in. So in the systems and processes, business owners should be looking at how they are issuing their documents to their clients. How and when are their clients becoming aware of their terms and conditions? What's the process for acceptance? What's the process for invoicing? What's the process for purchasing? Those are the types of things that need to be looked at closely when a business owner is setting up their processes and systems. If you don't get that right, chances are you might be missing a vital step in that process around issuing your terms and conditions to consumers or clients. You need to get that right in order to be able to rely on those documents later if you need to.
Well, there's certainly a lot of things to think about. I suppose in a way to sum up, Tracey, can we just go through the main points again?
Absolutely. So to sum up, I think that we're in a crisis of knowledge. I think it's a shame because there's an incredible level of risk that I'm seeing which could be avoided. My view is that in order to avoid that risk, business owners ought to be focusing on their risk mitigation strategy in their business. And that comprises their business structure, making sure it's right and checking in from time to make sure it's still serving their business. Look at insurance as part of that risk mitigation strategy and make sure they've got the right insurance in place to meet the business where it's at. And the third vital component, of course, of that risk mitigation strategy is the legal documents, making sure that they're tailored properly for the business and that there are really strong processes and systems in place to support utilising those legal documents.
That was lawyer Tracey Mylecharane. Business Essentials Daily is a SoundCartel podcast. Producers are Nick Schildberger, Chris Ashmore, Jeff Waters and myself. Technical production by Pete Letts. I'm Nicole Goodman. Thanks for listening. We'll bring you more Be Daily next week. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.